Hi, I'm Dr. Blake, the Cooking Doc. This is usually where I hang out in my kitchen, and I am on a mission to change your buds and talk to you about healthy food made simple and delicious. I believe food can have a tremendous impact on your overall health, and the way to incorporate good, healthy food into your diet is to learn how to cook it. Today, though, I'm going to be straying away from the kitchen, and I'm going to be sitting behind my computer talking to two amazing women from the Courageous Wellness podcast. I'll be talking to Erica Stein and to Aly French. And Aly and Erica started this podcast based on their health journeys. Each of them has a really interesting health journey that they're going to talk about today. And they are both now certified health coaches. And health coaching is a new concept to me, but I think really has the possibility to improve people's care and to help you achieve your health goals. Stay tuned to this fabulous discussion. I think you'll really enjoy it. You'll really learn a lot. But before we listen to them, make sure you hit that subscribe button and click that bell so you never miss a new recipe or a new health tip. I'm Dr. Blake, the Cooking Doc. Let's go. This is Aly French and Erica Stein from the popular podcast Courageous Wellness, and we're going to be talking about health coaching today, and they have some great tips and advice for how to help you kind of incorporate health and wellness into your daily living. So stay tuned for this great conversation. So thanks so much for joining me. So we talked, I was lucky enough to be on your podcast, and during that conversation, you introduced me to something that I had never heard before, something called a health coach. And it really got me thinking about how health and wellness works, because, you know, as a doctor, I'm not really executing the health plan. I kind of set the health plan. I prescribe the medicines, or I tell my patients what I think is good for them or how to eat. And then I kind of just say, go do it. And as I was talking with you all, it made me realize that any plan, whether you're talking about business or sports, is meaningless if it's not executed. And the more I started thinking about it, the more I thought about just how much opportunity there was to use health coaches kind of in my practice. And then also kind of what a disaster sometimes medicine is, because I have the plan, but my patients oftentimes can't execute it, which is really where the important stuff happens. First, I want to introduce you all to everybody who's watching. So let's start with Erica. I never related so hard to your bio where it says healthy with a side of fries. So can you tell me a little bit about yourself and what that means?
Yes. That's like my personal wellness motto is healthy with a side of fries. I feel like it's how I choose to live my life. So I'm Erica. I'm one half of the Courageous Wellness podcast and Courageous Wellness Collective, which is our greater community and health coaching. My background really stems from, I have personally a 50-pound weight loss and self-love journey. So the Spark Notes version of it all is that after really learning how to love and accept myself just as I was, I subsequently lost 50 pounds. This concept, right, of healthy with a side of fries is even having a 50-pound weight loss journey after healing my own digestive issues. My love for food really still stands. And actually, Aly and I, through our health coaching, we're a very food positive duo. We love food. We love what food can do for us. And so I think for me and how I aim to help individuals that I coach is we have to get to the root, right, of why we're holding on to this extra weight in order to be able to happily and healthfully lose it. And for me, and I'm sure so many women and probably just listeners and viewers in general, I had always carried a little bit of extra weight. You know, food was always emotional for me. Food is still so emotional. You know, it's joy. It's, you know, I come from a family where it was, if you're happy, you eat. If you're sad, we eat, right? Like we were just always eating. So I did carry a little bit of extra weight. And when you get to the root though of those issues, it stops being hard because you stop thinking about food and I guess like a way that's like, I can't have this, I can't have this. It's more about how you feel, which I think makes a bigger difference.
And what about you, Aly? So you have a little different story about a cancer diagnosis kind of setting you on this course of wellness. Do you want to give us the story there?
Yeah, absolutely. So, yes, Erica and I came together with very different stories and relationships with food. Mine, it was something I was always interested in. Nutrition just interested me. I would test out different styles of eating. I was pretty much plant-based for like 4 years at one point. And I wound up at 29 getting diagnosed with a rare form. It was a cancerous tumor on my back. And I was so sort of surprised by that. I think anybody's probably surprised by a cancer diagnosis, but I was young and healthy. And so the idea of hearing the word cancer just kind of came out of the blue. Fortunately for me, my treatment was just a series of 3 surgeries is what I ultimately needed. And so it was not in an aggressive state when I caught it. So I didn't need to do any other additional treatment. But when I was healing from my final surgery and I had a bunch of staples across my back, I found myself craving, to be honest, I actually found myself craving meat, red meat for the first time in 4 years. And I was like, well, I don't eat red meat. And my body was like screaming at me that it needed this. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go test. I'm going to continue this sort of like experimentation with food for myself. I ate it and I felt amazing. And in that moment, it wasn't that I was going to go become a carnivore or anything like that. That's not the point of the story. The point was I learned that my body has an intelligence when I was able to really listen to what it needed in that moment as far as nutritional needs.
What would you say to people who are kind of in a similar position, not with necessarily with the cancer diagnosis, but with serious health issues, kidney disease, heart disease, diabetes, one of these other diagnoses, and they have um, they are put on a diet that the doctor or dietitian has told them will help them, but it doesn't feel intuitive.
I think that's actually a really good point because it's not always intuitive. I know we hear that word thrown around a lot with like these days in the wellness space, intuitive eating, but that's all fine and great, but not when you're dealing with a major medical issue and maybe accustomed to a certain kind of diet over the course of your life that doesn't necessarily support like that ability to listen to what our body is saying. Because the reality is with a lot of processed foods, which is like the majority of the standard American diet, which most of us have grown up on, there's a lot of, I talk about this a lot. There's a lot of stuff that's sort of working against us. And I don't think people always know that. Even the idea of the bliss point, right? Which is a lot of processed food that's manufactured in a lab is the perfect combination of salty and sweet to make our brain go, yes, and I want some more. So when your body is having that kind of reaction, you're not going to be able to be like, I really need some dark leafy greens right now. Like
Totally.
that conversation is not going to be happening quite as easily. And that's okay. And what I want to say is like, when I learned that information, it really takes what Erica was talking about, a lot of the shame away. It's nobody's fault. This food is like intelligently designed to make your brain and body have this response. So I just want to say like, we should never feel bad about that fact. There's sort of addictive properties to these processed foods that we all consume and sometimes really enjoy, but it does damage that sort of like ability to hear or that intuitive connection sometimes to what our body really needs versus what our body might be craving because it's programmed to crave that way. So I would say the first thing is to get some support. As Erica mentioned earlier, it's an emotional journey, especially when we have habits We have patterns, we have emotional connection, we have memories, we have joy, we have family, bonding, we have cultural rituals with our families, perhaps that we associate with some of these foods that your diet or dietitian might be like, hey, you got to cut it out in order to support your health right now.
So where does somebody go to find that support that you're talking about?
If a coach isn't something that maybe is in your budget or fits your personality, I think then, podcasts and books are a really great place to start. One of my favorites is The Microbiome Diet by Raphael Kelman. That really changed my relationship with food, learning about, like I said, our gut and how feeding our gut can really transform our health. And then podcasts, like that's why Aly and I do the podcast, is because sometimes you can really find someone you connect with, you can learn through people's stories, you can learn about cooking and food, like your YouTube page too, right? Like learning how to cook. I think finding people online that you really vibe with, finding podcasts that you really vibe with, because then you feel less alone. I think that's the whole point, is sometimes, especially when it comes to changing the way you eat, it can feel really isolating and lonely. Like all my friends are at brunch, or all my friends are at In-N-Out, and we're West Coasters, so In-N-Out's like a big thing over here. And I can't eat that, right? Like it can feel really isolating. But if you're able to find, I think that's one of the great things about social media, about podcasts, about YouTube. If you're able to find a community where you feel less alone, it becomes easier, and you can even make friends. Like health and wellness is how my friendship and now business with Aly grew. And the financial piece, because I know health coaching can be expensive, that's why Aly and I actually created, we have a Patreon for only $8.99 a month, where we offer health coaching subscription services at a very accessible price point. And that was something that was really important to both of us, because we really want to we provide 4 pieces of fresh health coaching content a month, and everything builds each week on top of each other. So it's a platform where you can educate yourself, ask us questions, create habits, and join a community for $8.99. So that was something that was really important to us. But again, if coaching isn't your vibe, I would definitely suggest like books, podcasts, and online community can really help a lot.
Where do they find the information about that Patreon and how to sign up for that?
Yeah, so we just launched actually, and it's great. I'm so excited because, to your point, Dr. Blake, and as Erica was saying, some people can't afford $200 a month for private health coaching. So for less than 2 cups of coffee, they can go to patreon.com, and it's just /courageous wellness. And it's just you become a member. And then also, in addition to the fresh content, we also do webinars. We have fun giveaways too, because everybody loves giveaways. But then you also get some community and direct access to us. We even open office hours for members only, that they can sign up if they have specific questions to them. Hey, I need some one-on-one FaceTime with Aly, or I need some one-on-one FaceTime this week with Erika. We actually offer that through the membership, because we want it to be accessible. We want it to be affordable. We're not here to make wellness or like lifestyle changes any less accessible or only for an exclusive few. We really believe it should be for anyone who wants to feel better. If that's ultimately, we're here to all feel our best, and food and nutrition can be an incredible tool in that.
I think we've got a lot of good information here for everybody who's listening and watching, about ways that they can take the first step towards improving their health. And maybe we can end with each of you giving me a sentence or two about, say you're speaking to one of my patients or one of my followers who is just been either diagnosed with kidney disease, or maybe they have new diagnosis of diabetes, or they're realized that their doctors told them they had to lose weight, all kinds of different health problems. But what is the first thing that they should do that you would recommend to kind of jumpstart them, or kind of get them off on the right foot?
I love this question. My first go-to actually has nothing to do with food. It's really the first thing I would ask anybody to do, especially in light of a diagnosis can feel very overwhelming, is really to take a moment, take some deep breaths, and also really observe their relationship with their own stress management.
So take a deep breathing, take a step back. How about you, Erica?
I think too, not food related either, because of course there's so much we can go into with food, and I'm sure they have their lists and they, we'll figure it out. And there is, as we've mentioned, so much support. But I think in that same way, it's like, let's get excited. Like, I know that sounds maybe silly, but I am a very optimistic person. And I've also seen, we've done over 100 episodes of the podcast, and it all starts with somebody getting a diagnosis, having a struggle, some sort of problem, right? Or a seeming problem comes up, and everyone's life completely transforms, right? It's an opportunity. So Aly and I also really believe in pain into purpose, poison into medicine, so this is actually really exciting because it's also an opportunity for everything to transform from this point. So I'm all about changing the conversation and getting excited.
Well, thank you guys so much for being here. Everybody who's watching, you can find all this great content from Aly and Erica on courageouswellness.net. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, great. And they have lots of podcasts. The podcasts are available wherever you get your podcasts, as they say. Check them out. And I'm the Cooking Doc. Make sure you subscribe to my channel so you never miss a new recipe or a new health tip. Thank you so much for joining me, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.